says in the old book, he that honours me, I will honour. Good luck, Jackson Shows. So where does the power come from to see the race to its end from within? Jenny, I believe God made me for a purpose. But he also made me fast. And when I run, I feel his pleasure.
What's this? That's the 1924 version of the chest bump. Just a little bit. just what they did back then. But the story is great. The girl he sees, that's his sister. Guess who she worked for? The church. She kept telling him, you need to be more involved in the church. You need to be more involved in mission work. And he gets that great thing. He says, but when I run, I feel his pleasure. Here's my question to you tonight. When you run, do you feel his pleasure? What is it that you do, just by who you are, that when you run, you just feel his pleasure? What will see you to the end of the race? He says, where does the power come from? It comes from within. So we studied, and we looked, and he said, where does it come from for us guys? It's us guys, you know, what do we love doing? Did God make us? Did he create something different in us? Is there something different? And I'm here to tell you it is. We were made to run. There's an attack right now to try to feminize masculinity and to masculize femininity. That's in our country right now. And what's happening is many of us guys are losing our presence and our place because we have allowed ourselves to conform to a culture and we've forgotten what it means to run a race where you feel his pleasure. Because when you do, you just draw people in. And Eric Little went on to be a great missionary, just drew people in, and his story is still lived out today. Here's what the research says. The research says today, this is the most current coaching education research that applies to us, is that most of us today have forgotten that word play, we think, what does that mean? Does that mean messing up? No. No, play is how God wired all of us guys when we love doing something outside. In the beginning, God created. And the word we love today, the word that we throw around is this word, recreation. See, what we found out is guys love it when we recreate that which God has already made. He loved running. Running gave him a great feeling that God's given this, and I see and I feel his presence. What do you do in the creation that allows you, just means you reestablish, you just do it again, that allows you to see that, and here's what we found out. We have lost the ability to play. Play is something that all of us guys were born with. We love to play. Think about play when you were a kid. What did you love doing? I want you, everybody to go there right now. When you were a kid, maybe elementary school, maybe middle school. It's summer, it's this time of year. And mama's kicked you out of the house. She's tired of seeing you. And she says, go outside and play. What did you love doing? I want you to think about what did you love, but no adult with not a single adult telling you what to do. What did you love doing? I want you to take me back there. I want you to tell me where this was. Who did you play with? Was it by yourself? Was it some siblings? Was it a big neighborhood? And what was the activity? Because I'm here to tell you that the research says today that men need to reestablish what it means to play. Because when you play at something, guess what the emotion is that will always come out of it? Joy. Always. And for some reason we got a culture, so you're not supposed to do that. Now I'm not talking about abusing recreation. I'm talking about recreating a time in your life now that you will allow to do it. Isn't it interesting that we get in a men's group? Nobody told us we're supposed to eat barbecue. But why do we eat barbecue? Because it takes us back to a time when we'd go hunting and we'd kill something and we'd bring it back and we'd clean it and we'd throw it on the grill. And we love it. And most of the time the other sex doesn't understand. That's not how God wired most women. There's something about, I saw it, I killed it, I caught it, we cleaned it, we put a good rub on it, and we go, yummy. Because it's outside of God's creation. And interesting tomorrow that Russ, what are we doing tomorrow, Russ? We work at golf? No, we're playing golf. We're playing golf. Why are we doing that? Why are we playing golf? Because it takes us back to how God created. There's something about being outside in the beauty of what this is, this golf course, this blue sky, this green, this water, which we'll probably spend a lot of time in, that's okay. And we'll do it, and we see it, and then guess what we do? We keep score. You know, when somebody goes fishing, you ever heard it? You ever heard this? We were talking about it earlier. You never heard somebody say, hey, you went fishing? And you go, yeah. There's always a second question. What is it? How much you catch? And how big was it? We love the scoreboard because God made us in a way to compete with one another. Now, there are unhealthy ways to compete. That's a whole other story. But God has wired this in us. And since day one, if we were made in His image, which He said He was, He said we are made in His image. I love the Scripture. Listen, they're about doing the business that they were doing, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that. And the disciples were getting after it. They were doing all the stuff. Jesus is going around doing ministry. And listen to this. I just absolutely love this. Now, he just talked about what a man and woman look like in marriage. He's just talked about what brokenness looks like in divorce. He's just talked about miracles. He's talked about this idea of servanthood. He's laying these lessons, and they're going down the road, and they're nailing it. But a group of kids show up. And right after Jesus is hammering truth, he says, all of a sudden, some people started bringing little children to him. So he might touch them. But his disciples rebuked him. You know why I rebuked him? Come on, we got to get on with work. Now listen, work is good. The Bible says we're to work with excellence. It says what we do is what we should do it well. But when you don't have any margin to recreate what God did, crazy things happen. They said, come on, this is Jesus' own team of guys. He said, come on, we got more work to do. And I love what he said. Golly. He says, listen, let them come unto me. Don't stop them. For this is what the kingdom of heaven is like. You ever thought about that? This is what the kingdom of heaven is. Depending on your version, you'll say this is what the kingdom is. As these children are, this is what the kingdom will be. You know what heaven's going to be like? It's going to be like that when you were a kid and you were free in the love of God. In this case, the love of your parents, were to do whatever you want to do, and you just felt free. Because see, when you do things, when you play, what will happen is joy will be the emotion, and you will do it with a sense of wonderment, a sense of creation, and a sense of doing it well. You will do it all in. Full throttle. What did you love doing? I want you to share a few stories. Raise your hand. Tell me where you were. Just what age, neighborhood. Just tell me. Now, if you don't raise your hand, I'm going to pick on you because I'm a coach. We ain't getting out of this game alive. All the way in the back. Talk loud.
This gentleman right here.
No. All right. You can talk about him, but is this you too?
We met in the 2nd grade.
Okay.
That was 1954.
Okay.
Pine Hills Elementary School.
So we're at Pine Hills, 1954. All right. Go.
And just playing ball together.
Okay. Where did you play ball?
Pine Hills Elementary School.
Oh, so you're at the elementary school.
Right.
Who played?
Randy Evans, Tommy Harmon, Mike Roberts.
All right. Group of guys.
Neighborhood.
Yeah.
Neighborhood guys.
Yeah. What was the field like?
Dirt.
All right. So elementary field. We're playing on dirt. How many played? Group of you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Great gloves.
Didn't football, baseball
Pick a
didn't make
sport.
any difference.
What'd you do?
Football.
Football. Tell me about football. Yeah.
Touch
Touch football.
Touch football, tackle.
Tackle football.
Right.
Let's talk about tackle football in the dirt. Now, I'm sure you're wearing a helmet.
No, it wasn't.
No. You weren't wearing shoulder pads?
Nope.
You didn't have a 419 tip Bermuda field?
No, sir.
And I know you had referees.
Had sand spurts.
Had sand spurs. Let me ask you something. How hard did you play?
As hard as we could.
Think about that. As hard as we could. That means you maxed out. You maxed out as hard as you could. How long did you play?
All day.
All day. Now let me talk about something for just a second. What does all day look like in July in Central Florida?
3 hours.
We call it the 95-95 rule. 95 degrees, 95% humidity. You played all day, as hard as you could, on dirt, with sand spurs, and no pads, and you were all in all day. And why in the heck are you smiling so big?
Because I got my best friend sitting right
Because
beside
it was
me.
fun, was it not?
It was.
There was a sense of joy. Who created the field? Who created the sidelines and the goal line? You did. Think about it. How many of us are struggling today with employees that don't know what it means to work all day, as hard as you can, no matter the circumstance?
Amen.
But yet you did it, nobody told you. It's because how God wired you. That's how He wired us, guys. Give me another story. Let's go around. We're going to do 3 or 4 and we'll wrap it up. Somebody raise your hand.
I'll do one.
Do me one.
Uh,
Where are we?
we're in Pine Hills again.
Oh, man, we're Pine Hill today. All right,
His
let's do
older
it.
brother,
Okay,
who told him about football, to play in 2nd grade.
right.
But we played stickball in
Okay.
front of our house, in the street.
All right, wait a minute now. Let me get this right. So streets made out of asphalt.
Yep.
So we're playing asphalt, street, stickball.
Correct.
Tell me about stickball.
Whatever you could pick up and swing a bat or make it sound like a bat because we couldn't afford a bat back then.
So you couldn't afford a bat, so the idea was you just created one.
We created one.
So what was the ball like?
Whatever we could get.
Whatever we could get. Great gloves?
No gloves.
No gloves.
No gloves.
Stick, ball. Tell me about well, you're playing on the street.
Stay on the street, right.
Yeah.
The mailboxes were our bases.
There's nothing like mailboxes for bases. I love that. Nothing like the old mailbox baseball.
We do it before school. We do this before school, before we go and walk our ways to Pine Hills Elementary or to Maynard Evans High School. And that's how it was. And we did it until we were sweating, till we couldn't sweat anymore, and then it was time to go to school.
So you did it as hard as you could,
Absolutely.
as long as you could, until school hours said you had to go. And why in the heck are you smiling? That sounds like terrible. Playing in the street?
Because those are great days. That's what you remember. You remember the great times.
And why were they great? Because I'm going to tell you why. You recreated exactly how the Creator made you as a man. Why is it we're playing golf tomorrow? Why is it that we like to paddleboard? Why does Dan feel like he's got to ride 7 states on his bike? Because we love the idea of being outdoors, involved, where we see God's creation. And we then can recreate, and what will always come out of it is a sense of joy. Do you know why that right now it's 3-to-1 women over men in the church in America today? I'm stepping on toes. I'm stepping on Jonathan's toes, because he gets me. You know why? Because we forgot what it meant to be a man. And to be a man is that God created this wonderful world for us, and He loves it when we play in it. Now, can you abuse it? Absolutely. Because anything God creates, you can abuse. Anything. So you go out and buy a $50,000 boat when you can't make the rent on the week. That's abusing it just so you can say I can go out of the ocean. You know what you can't do? You can buy a $200 kayak right down here at Dick's Sporting Goods and go down the Palatka River and see the beauty of what God is and feel like you are involved with a sense of smile and wonderment and joy. That's how God made us, y'all. And the church has forgotten that, not this church. We've forgotten it. Give me another story. Yes, what we got? Where are we? We're in Pine Hills again.
We're in Pine Castle.
Pine Castle, we're south of town. All right, good. Tell me about it.
Me and my best friend Bruce,
Okay?
taking cars apart, little mower engines,
Yeah.
our go-karts,
Right?
so we could race on Saturday,
Yeah, where would you race?
out in, Cocoa.
Okay. So you would take car parts apart, create your own
Race car.
race car.
Yeah.
How old were you?
10.
10. And tell me about where you would race these when you couldn't go there. Would you try them out on the street?
Yeah, out in the field.
Out in the field.
Wherever we drive it.
Wearing a helmet?
Yeah, that too.
Had to. Required.
I still got my head.
How long would you do this for?
Till we ran out of gas.
So you ran out of it. You just couldn't go anymore. How hard would you be a part of this?
As greasy as you could get.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And listen, you can create any video game you want to that has racing in it. And it will never, ever come to the heightened love that you had of being outdoors and racing a car.
Yeah.
You see what the enemy's doing? There's an enemy to this manhood. Be indoors. It's not about being soft, but it's always about not engaging what God created us to be. And it doesn't make any difference what it is. Let's do 2 more. Give me 2 more. Somebody raise your hand. All the way back. Hey, it's good to see you, by the way. It's good to re-engage with you.
Pine Hills and Popcorn Football, Evans High School.
Yeah, I don't know where adults do it.
Oh, what?
No adults.
Oh,
No adults. Did you play football?
yes, I did.
Where? Outside of Powell. Where'd you play?
Field behind the house.
All right, tell me about behind the house field football.
Just a dirt field, a little bit of grass in there, and all the neighborhood kids show up, and
How big's the field?
maybe 50 yards.
50 yards. How many would play?
We get 5-on-5.
5 on 5. Why are you smiling?
Good memories.
So perfect field. What'd you have? Did you have trees in the middle of the field? Fences?
Sand Spurs.
Sand spurs. Why in the world are we all laughing about sand spurs tonight? Everybody's got this guy playing in sand spurs. Why? Why was that so good?
The joy.
The joy of recreating. Could you create your field in your mind? You could could play in any stadium in America in your backyard, could you not?
We were in the Super Bowl.
You were in the Super Bowl in your backyard. Because what you did is you took your mind and you created wonderment. You created the thought process. See, what's happened today is we have gotten so careful about this entitlement that we have parents that won't even let kids create their own field in their mind. We have to go to a met. You go to some of the fields around here, they're better than any field we ever grew up in. And the kids, go to South Lake Little League and watch kids. Watch them play Little League baseball. Nothing about that, but watch the kids playing stickball off the side of the maintenance building when you go out there. And watch the difference between the joy of that and joy of on the field. Because you created, you feel. See, when you create something, what did you just do? You mimicked the Creator, who created you in His image. And the greatest thing He did at the very beginning is He created this world. He says, I created the heavens and the earth, and then everything in it. And His masterpiece was us. One more. Somebody take me somewhere. Yeah.
8 years old.
8 years old.
In Winter Park.
Winter Park. Okay, what are we playing?
Me and my brothers climbing an orange tree.
Good. So we're in orange trees.
Climbing to the highest point you can get to. Proud that you can climb higher than the other boys.
So wait. So we're orange tree climbing as high as we can go. You and your brother.
Get first.
Right.
And then you take your pocket knife out your mom gave you, and you sit there and eat oranges and spit seeds at each other, throw peels at each other, and just sit up there and talk and eat oranges.
So now let me tell you, how high would you go?
Probably 25 feet.
25, 30 feet? You did have a safety harness on, didn't you? You had a pocket knife with you. And you ate oranges at the top of the tree. How hard was it to get up to the top of that tree? How fast would you try to beat your brother to the top of the tree? You went as hard as you could. How long would you stay at the top of the tree? Hours in the top of an orange tree. Why are you smiling like this? Do you see what's happening? We're losing the essence of who we are. I love it. I love it when God, He says, stop it. Let the kids come unto me. For this is like the kingdom of heaven. I tell you something. We work with coaches. We say, is your place of work with coaches where you do it? We go and evaluate coaching staffs. We have got coaching staffs that have taken the term play and just eliminated it and say things like, we're going to outwork you. We've heard terms in sports we've never heard. The biggest word in the last 10 years is we're going to grind. Was that grinding when you went top of the orange tree? There was no grinding. Was that grinding when you're playing in the backyard? No. Grinding is something you do to corn or wheat. Not what you do to a human being. And so we've got business leaders who think we've got to grind. And the sad thing is we've got parents guilty who forget to let our kids play. My oldest son is an interesting story. How we do this. I was that dad. I would tell him, son, if you don't go to college, you're not going to get this. And he struggled in school because he thought different than me. He loves to play music. He's good at music. He's a kid that can live in the back seat of his car and just be as happy as could be. And I see things in yard lines, first downs, goal lines. I like when the guy in the end does this. And he could just live free amongst himself. And he went to college 3 times and got 6 credit hours. And I'm a college professor. And he left home. We loved each other. It was never this not loving one another, but he left home to chase his music dreams. And he and a buddy went to Nashville for a while and then went out to LA. And he'd come home and, Dan, you know this, it's hard to make a living in music. Everybody thinks they're going to get the big contract. Everybody thinks they're going to play pro ball. In reality, most don't. So he had to play late night bars because that was the only place he could actually make money. And we would begin to see him come home. He'd come home about twice a year, and I would just struggle watching. I knew drugs and alcohol would be coming he would come home a couple times a year. It just hurt my soul deep. I love my son. But see, he saw a dad that based everything on the grind. It's always about the next step. It's always about getting to the next level. He came home one Christmas, and he would stay for about 3 weeks. He had been home, and we were attending a church where my parents go in town at the Methodist church, and music's changed. That's why I love it. I've known Dan for years. Why I love, 2 reasons why we love being here: the fellowship of this church. We just need genuine fellowship in my family, and we love being under a great Bible teacher. And we knew what Dan. We just knew that music was ministry here. It wasn't performance, though he's very good. And I saw my son, and I struggled. So he comes home and he goes to church with us. Of course, church music has changed. As he saw on the stage, he saw a drum set, 2 sets of guitar, rhythm guitar, bass guitar, a keyboard, and the music director was very good. And I could tell my son was entrenched with what was going on. And afterwards he goes, "Dad, that band's good." And I go, "Yeah, they are." I said, "You want to meet the band director?" He said, "Yeah, I'd love to." His name was Angelo, and so I called Angelo. I said, "Angelo, I'd love to meet Bo." So Bo hooked up with him, and he asked me, he said, "Bo, how long are you going to be in town for?" He said, "Oh, I'm going to be in town for another 3 weeks or so." He said, "Why don't you come on Tuesday nights? We get together and we get our band together." I remember when you were in high school, you had a good high school band. Y'all played, everybody would come, and he said, "I've heard about it. Why don't you join the band?" So we did for a few weeks. And Angelo came up to me right before he went back to California. He said, "Jeff," he said, "your son's good. He plays well, he sings well, he relates to people well. He'd be great as a worship leader." And I go, "Oh, man, that'd be great. I don't know. Doesn't have much of an education." He goes, "There's schools for guys like him." I said, "Really?" He said, "It really is. Mind if I talk to him?" I said, "No." So he did. Bo comes home right before he goes back to California. He said, "Dad, I think I'm going to go back to college." I got excited. I said, "That's great, son." I said, "Where do you think about going?" He says, "Well, Angelo told me about a school in Australia." I go, "Oh, gosh. We're public school teachers. Australia?" He goes, "Dad, I know it's good. It's called Hillsong." And a lot of the songs we sing here are Hillsongs, come out of the Hillsong. They've got an international leadership college where they work with kids just like this. Did you know it was only $5,200 to go there? Now, you had to try out, you had to show that you had purpose and mission, and then, of course, the expense was getting down there. Anyways, he goes down there, and in 2 years gets his 4-year degree. He comes back, and his first job, and I'm going to get tearful on this, he's looking for that first spot. And Justin Miller hires him at Real Life. And he becomes part of the worship band. One of the worship leaders. They have like 3 or 4 worship teams. And my wife and I would show up on Sunday morning, and I would sit in the back of the sanctuary at Real Life. And I'd watch my son get up there and sing praises to God and find his place as he reestablishes himself and who God's called him to be. And for 7 weeks, I remember I'd just sit in the back and cry. And I asked him, a little, just not too much later, I said, "So what was the trigger?" Do you know what the trigger was? He said, "Dad, do you remember when I left and went back to California?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You called me not 2 months later and said you wanted to come out and see me." I did. And I went out and saw him with no agenda. Not to tell him he needs to get back in school, not to tell him he needs to do anything. I just needed to tell him what I saw in him, how God made him. I just wanted him to sense the joy that God has made him special. And what brings him joy is his music. And he needed to hear his dad tell him that. That's all he needed. He said, "Dad, when you flew," I went out there one day, took him to dinner, told him that, told him I loved him, and got on a plane, came home the next day. He said, "Dad, do you remember when you came?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "It changed everything." He said, "What it did is it brought the joy back. I know how God made me." Joy is interesting. You can't make it happen. It's the #1 motivator. Where's your joy level? It's not about being happy all the time. Life's hard. Jesus said it to the cross. But we have got to re-engage how God's made us as men. And get back to finding what is it that we love doing, that he's just made us. And And we need to employ that in our lives. And so often, it comes back to, let's get back to play. Let's go out tomorrow and play golf. Those of us that are playing, let's go out and play. Let's have the best time tomorrow. Let's see how God made the beautiful sky and the beautiful thing. And my goal is just to try to whip Russ's butt tomorrow. That's my one goal. Because we're going to keep score. Because that's how God wired us. My youngest son's Mark. He just got back from a mission trip today with my son Cameron, who, by the way, is a head football coach. He got so affected by this coach, this head coach, that now he's a head coach. And they just took 52 kids to work in an orphanage for a week. That's their off-season weight program. He said, Dad, it changes everything. And my youngest son went with him. And Mark's trying to find his way. And he was our better athlete. He got a little baseball scholarship to Lake Sumter. And 2 years ago, he comes up to us and he goes, Dad, or 3 years ago now, he goes, Dad, I think I want to go to California. And I go, oh, come on again. What is this deal with California? Talking to my wife, she says, we need to let him go. We need to let him go. Oh, I struggle with it. So we let him go, but we said we can't support him. So the night before he left, he came up, Dana wanted me to talk to him, so he said, would you talk to him, just make sure he's okay. So I brought him up to the office. I said, Mark, we're going to let you go now. I said, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I said, we can't support you. I said, man, you're going to drive your truck all the way out to California? I said, that's 3,000 miles. This gas was about $3 in a gallon. I said, how are you going to afford it? You know what his answer was? God's going to take care of him, Dad. I thought, that ain't a bad answer. Not a wrong answer. Still don't know how he's going to afford it. I said, what are you going to do when you get out there? He got a little job at a YMCA. He's going to be a lifeguard. I said, where are you going to stay? You never paid rent in your life. You always lived right here. It's expensive out there in L.A. My buddy and I got a one-bedroom apartment. One's going to live in a bed. The other's going to live on the couch out in the little living room. And I said, you never paid rent in your life. His answer was, God's going to take care of me. I said, how about eating-wise? I've seen you eat. It's expensive. You know, milk's $4 a gallon. I've seen you drink this stuff. How are you going to afford groceries? You know what his answer was? God's going to take care of me. Oh, interesting answer. Gave him my blessings. I said, go. We're going to hope you do well. We're going to be praying for you. Went downstairs, and my wife was there, and she said, what did he say? I said, he thinks I'm God. 6 months later, he was home, $1,700 in debt on his visa bill. And he's back doing fairly well. You know, I didn't know what I was going to share, but this is the stuff that we share with. I have to check in the mirror on a regular basis when this world begins to eat on me. Or I begin to look at my job, and I miss the beauty that's all around me, and the first thing I have to ask is, what's robbing me of my joy? And usually what it comes down to is that I've allowed the things of this world to begin to conform to the things of this world. And what I need to do is go back to the Creator. And one of the greatest things I can do is recreate. One of the greatest blessings I've had since I've been back in the church, and we've only done it 3 times, is riding with Dan on Saturday morning. Now, he's a great rider. He rides fast. I tell him every time we get together, you've got to slow your butt down, because I ain't riding you, you're going to speed off. But we have a conversation that's rich to me, and it means something to me. Where are you? Where are you? Interesting that the author of joy is the author of love. Everything that God does, he loves us so much, and love always produces joy. I don't know where you are. But if your job is depressed, or your family's not what you think it needs to be, it's just not, there's not a sense of, you know, the Apostle Paul actually says to rejoice in the Lord. He says, I say it again, rejoice. And then he tells us to think on these things on things that are lovely and beautiful and praiseworthy and just and commendable. He says, think on these things and you will become that which is peace. You will re-engage the joy in your life. Man, it's time. It's time. It's okay that we want to hunt. It's okay that we want to fish, or ride a bike, or go down a canoe, or fix cars. It's what God has wired us to do. Let's become men and re-engage how God created us. Let's be that. And if you don't know who God is, you just can't ever get there, because this world will do it. He's the author of love. For God so loved the world that he sent his son. And it's through this love and this relationship, if you don't have it, my challenge to you tonight, when you're laying in bed just like I did, Lord, I know I need you. Lord, I can't do it. I can't do it. I really do believe you love me. You sent your son. If you've never done that, invite And if you're like me, and you're in that Christian walk, but the pull of this world is always trying to pull you somewhere. When can you say, when I run, I feel his pleasure? I got to do one last exercise, and we're going to close in prayer, and Sydney's got one prayer request. So my second son's the head coach, head football coach over in Florida, Central Florida. He's doing well. He said, Dad, he said, where are you tonight? Because I hadn't seen him. He wanted to get together and talk about his trip. I said, I'm going to be speaking to a group of men at my church. He goes, that's great. He goes, he just got done with spring practice, and they're getting better. But he says, Dad, would you help me? Would you survey the group of men? Now, I'm doing this for my son, okay? He's stuck. Now, see, I've been helping him. Since I don't coach at Eastridge anymore, I've been helping my son coach for the last few years. It's been great. It's not been all that great, to be honest with you. I've been his offensive coordinator for 2 years. Now, I've coached for 35 years. Yo, I like calling plays. Did you know I went 2 years with my son and never called a play? And I'm his offensive coordinator. He's got me sitting in the booth, and all I do is I look for fronts and coverages. I tell him where people are lining up, and then he's got a great offensive mind. Well, I'm getting a little perturbed. I'm his offensive coordinator. Don't you think an offensive coordinator ought to call a play? That first year he took over, we were terrible because he took over a program we hadn't won in 3 years, and we're just getting our butts whipped every week. We're in the third game. We're down 34-7 in the third quarter. It's 3rd and 12. I'm on the headset, of course, with my son. Here's what I hear. Hey, Dad, what you got? He wants to know what play I got on 3rd and 12 with 34-7. I said, I got a play for you. Punt.